Hey guys, so we'll be going through part 1 of the tools page under security and SD-WAN. I hope you enjoy it. So this is the tools page under security and SD-WAN, appliance status, and then you have the tools tab. Here is the first tool that you could use as a ping. A ping, in my eyes, is an easy way of describing it. It's like throwing a ball to somebody and then they throw it back to you. That's essentially all it is. And you get some statistics based on that for troubleshooting. So let's say you wanted to ping to 8.8.8.8. It's there by default, so I just ping, which is Google's DNS servers. What it would do, it would give me an IP address, a loss rate, and the average latency over, which latency is essentially how long it takes for me to send them a ball and then for them to get back to me. It seems like it's around 6 milliseconds, which is fairly good. You could ping from more than you could ping to more than one destination, and also you can change the source IP address. So by default it will go from the highest VLAN SVI interface IP address. So here, for example, my highest VLAN is VLAN 2. So if I go under security and SD-WAN and I go to address and then VLANs, and you'd see that I have this sales VLAN. So the IP address is 192.168.50.1. That is where the default will ping from. I can also select it, but by default it will always do the highest VLAN interface IP address. You could also use this tool called Ping Appliance. Now this is very useful for when your appliance is offline. However, it's showing green here, so the GUI takes a bit of time to update. It takes maybe about 2 minutes to 5 minutes, and it depends on your internet speed. But this, if you ping the appliance, it's actually telling cloud, hey, ping this MX. And you can see that it's online and it's healthy and it's responding. If it was offline, it would show loss rate. So let's just show you an example of what it looks like when it's lost 100% to a destination which I know my favorite one doesn't exist, or it does and it doesn't respond to ICMPs. Yeah, so it's not always going to work. So the pings are not always going to work. Doesn't necessarily mean that that node is completely offline. It just means maybe, I don't know, ICMP has been turned off. So let's scroll down, and I'm gonna leave this for part 2, this part 2, this part 2. And let's go straight to traceroute, MTR, DNS, and ARP. Let's go on the interesting ones first. So traceroute is similar to ping. So you're sending balls to a destination, but it's per every hop, and you want to see every hop to get to an address. So let's say you want to see every hop that you have to take, and by hop I mean as it shows, I first have to go to my internet router, and then after it will show the next hop, and then after it will show the next hop until I get to the destination, which is 8.8.8.8. So it seems that it goes through to Sky here. It's the latency is shown here of each hop. It's done it 3 times it seems, and here we go. There's 8.8.8.8, and why would you use this is to find out, let's say these are fairly good hops. Let's say this was taken let's say this was taken 30.2 milliseconds. At the moment it's 30 seconds it will take, that will be a bad hop. And then you try to figure out, okay, why is that taking 30 seconds? Maybe that this device is overloaded and it's taken too long to respond. So that's why you would use a traceroute. MTR here is, I would say it's a mixture between ICMPs and traceroute. So you'd be able to, similar to traceroute, it will show the hops, but you can have the number of cycles. So let's say you could use both an IP address and and a fully qualified domain name like ICMP can I reach the.net, and you could also choose an interface to go off from. If I click run here, I'll just do it for one, so we'll just do it once. It's essentially showing ICMP can I reach the net, and you could change that to, let's say, to do it 5 times. So let's close that and I'll run that, and let's it will just continuously go up, as you can see, 3, 4, and then 5, and then it generates kind of what my best is, what my worst one is, and kind of like the average and the last. It would you would use this in cases where, again, you wanted to find out if a node is overloaded, but it just gives you, rather than doing it once, it does it in multiple cycles. And like I said, you could like do it to an IP address also, and it will show us some data on that. So I'll just close that off, and let's clean this up a little. DNS Lookup, let's say I wanted to see if this DNS server had a record to be able to give me the IP address of this host name. So I'm going to click run that, and yep, it does. It has 4 IP addresses for this host name. And let's say I wanted to do an address, another address, neversl.com, which is a HTTP only site, and yep, it's giving me the record. If I wanted to do something that doesn't exist, like let's say I want to do 2222, and I click run, it doesn't exist, right? So it's not going to have a record there, which is literally just translating a host name to an IP address. Let's say I wanted to test, so if I put that back and I put in 222, and I just, let's say I wanted to try with Cloudflare's DNS server, which is a cool DNS server to use, and I just wanted to see if they had a record for that, and they would, yep, they have a record as well. So it's very handy for troubleshooting, to see if a DNS server has a record for this host name. Sometimes, I don't know, DNS server might not be working, and you could test that, rather than just saying, hey, like, people can't get to the internet. No, it might just be your DNS server. ARP Table is a good tool here. So if I click run that, you'll have 2 entries. So you'll have the client ARP entries, and you'll have the internet ARP entries. So what ARP is essentially it attaches a layer 2 address to a layer 3. So in plain English, all it is if you have an IP address, what happens is this MX, this is the LAN, for example, the MX will broadcast on its LAN and say, hey, like, I have this IP address, who has this physical IP address, like what's the physical address of the person that has, or the node that has this IP address. So then that like node would respond with its MAC address, hey, like, this is how you reach me, here's my MAC address. And then it will be just layer 2 communication between the MX and that device, so it will have an ARP entry. That's essentially what it is. Here is my Sky router, for example, and on the WAN you would see multiple ARPs for the MX to ask, hey, like, who has 192.168.0.1, and the Sky router, because it's a broadcast message, it's sent to everyone on the WAN. The Sky router would essentially say, hey, like, this is my physical address, here's my MAC address, and then we'd be able to communicate. That's essentially what ARP is. I'll go in a bit more detail, but yeah, you could get like ARP entries. There's not a way to clear these entries at the moment. Let's say, I don't know, I changed my Sky router and the MX didn't update and it still had a stale ARP entry. The way I would resolve it is by rebooting, but yeah, it's not like we don't have the option to clear the ARP entries at the moment, but perhaps in the future. So thank you for watching. That was part 1. I hope you watch part 2.